The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contests, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
Let's get weird on a Wednesday. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. We podcast about a little bit of everything, so consider checking out our channel for all kinds of podcasts on everything from entertainment to the paranormal to tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. Today, we're talking about a little bit of both. I guess the Sasquatch, or the wood people wouldn't be supernatural to some people. But anyway, I'll say it's kind of not conspiracy, but not quite supernatural. We're kind of just in the middle, but nonetheless, I think it fits the title Weird Wednesday.
Yeah, man, he's definitely kind of had a foot in all these camps. We've talked before about the government perhaps weaponizing him, using Sasquatch as a super soldier. We've talked about supernatural ties with the native folklore. We've also talked about firsthand accounts, and that's kind of what we're going to get into today. We've got a few accounts, actually, some that hit close to home, so to speak.
And that's what we're going to start with, firsthand accounts. So my little brother is, he's 20. You right? I feel like the worst big brother ever. He's around 20. And he loves to fish. He loves, being outside. And while he can over-exaggerate sometimes, I've never known him to lie, to just make up things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he's a very honest kid. He's a good kid. And I believe him when he tells me this. So what I'm going to tell you is according to him. So what's today? Today's Wednesday, so not last night. So I guess that would be Sunday night. He and some friends were out fishing very early in the morning, late at night, depending on how you do it. For them, it was just late at night. For me, I think it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. He sent the text at like 5 in the morning. But they were fishing, and they heard a giant splash, which isn't out of the ordinary. Fish jump out the water all the time. Things fall out of trees. So they didn't think much of it. Then there was a giant splash in front of them. And one of the guys that he was with swore that he was like, dude, that was a rock. And there's nowhere in this area, and I know where they were fishing. And I mean, it's riverbanks, but there's really nowhere that it's not a riverbank and then a hill that a rock would roll down. It just goes up to a riverbank, then it's flat forest, And, they're like, it would be a rock. So then they all see now, this is why I say the over-exaggerating thing, because my brother says the rocks look like they probably weighed 50 to 60 pounds. That's where I'm saying in the moment he may have over-exaggerated, and it could have been like a 15, 20-pound rock. But nonetheless, the point was that this rock was bigger than most humans could just hurl.
Yeah.
And he said it went flying, flew in the air, arched, hit the water, splashed, freaked them the hell out. So that's 3 rocks that were thrown. Now, the way this ties back into Sasquatch is, of course, if you're unfamiliar, Sasquatch it's known that they will throw rocks as a subtle warning for you to leave them alone or get out of their territory. And I think our buddy Derek Patterson was telling me, or somebody was, that that's actually common in like apes. They'll throw rocks as a warning to tell you to leave, kind of like you would a dog. You're like, you don't want to hurt it, but you're like, go on, get out of here, go on, get. And that was pretty much the end of it. Now you and I are planning sometime in the next few weeks to go down there and check it out. So what's interesting about that is you've actually got another firsthand account much earlier in history than this. This just happened Sunday. I think what you're talking about happened a long time ago, right?
It's not like a long time ago, but it definitely goes back a ways. This story was reported really just a couple years ago, but it happened up in Alaska, I think in like the Yukon Territory by a river, I'm sure I'm saying this wrong, Andriovsky, and some folks were out there on a boat going upriver, and man, they up there in Alaska, I mean, you got all kinds of wildlife and all this kind of stuff. And by the way, Their name for Sasquatch, I'm not even going to try to say, but they also call him the hairy man. So we're just
Spell
going to
it.
go with hairy man.
You don't have to try to pronounce it, but spell it just for those that might be interested in it.
All right, it's MILUQUYULI.
I see why you did not try to pronounce that.
Yeah, so we're just going to go with his other name, the hairy man.
Okay,
Anyway, they're going down this river, and much like your brother, just rocks just start getting hurled at them. I mean, just great big old rocks, like you said, just rocks that a normal person couldn't just toss around like acorns. And here's another story that they were going down in like a canoe. There was another time a son, and this guy's now in his 50s, but he's telling the story. They were camping by the same river when his family set up the camp far from a hill that was above their camp, and a large rock or two were thrown and sailed over them, landing with a big splash into that same river. And they say the rocks were far too large for humans to throw that high and that far. Seeing this, the son's father would go up the hill a ways and holler toward the rock thrower. So he'd just go up that hill and just start yelling at the hairy man.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Stop throwing them rocks!
Yeah, we're trying to have a nice little picnic down here. What the hell are you doing? But yeah, it says he scolded the hairy man, telling it not to throw any more rocks. After that, no more rocks would be thrown.
Sasquatch. Listen here, you Sasquatch. Yeah. We're trying to have a nice picnic. You could hurt somebody. Throw another rock, and I'm going to call the authorities, or I'm going to get your britches myself.
I'm telling you, man. But, they go on to say, just like you were saying, the hairy man, the Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, it's just a natural part of Earth's biology, is a natural creature that could pick up and hurl rocks like that. Just like you said, that's been observed in great apes and all kinds of things. So
it's very interesting that something so strong is so timid.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen on several programs what a lot of people do. There's actually almost like a gifting tree. I don't know if that's what you call it, but you'll leave something like maybe an apple or a honeycomb for the Sasquatch, and then you go check back the next day, it's taken your goodie and left something for you. Well,
like what? And where is this at?
They've done this in Canada, Alaska, many different wilderness places.
Can we go down to where this happened to my brother? Because it's actually not far down the road from my house.
We should set up a gifting tree, yeah. And a lot of times it'll leave you maybe like the jawbone from a deer or something of that nature.
Just what I've always wanted.
Yeah, or like a beautiful quartz rock or something.
I thought you were going to say a beautiful corpse. I was like, oh, yeah.
No, it's not going to
Thanks, Sasquatch. I give you an oatmeal pie. I give you an oatmeal cookie, and you make me a felon.
But no, let's go to this the place of this incident and set up a gifting post. Wouldn't that be clever?
Yeah, I say we go down there and camp. We can definitely check it out if you just want to check it out. And I'm not dumb. I'm not saying let's just go camp right up in its territory,
right.
But let's go camp in that area and just see if we hear anything. We should do that, man.
I'd be interested.
Would you do that?
I would consider that. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it might amount to nothing. I mean, that could just, like I said, my brother. It really could have been just something falling out the trees. Snakes sometimes fall from trees along riverbanks, and you hear it hit a little splash.
If they had just seen the first one, I'd be inclined to agree. But if it happened on two more occasions, and the third one, they actually feel like they saw her hurtling through the air, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it definitely, the 3 seems like something was trying to get them to go away. It certainly probably ruined their fishing.
Yeah.
You ever had that friend that don't know anything about fishing, and you take them and they just like start throwing rocks in the water, and
skip rocks.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, some people just don't understand.
Let's just go hunting, and while I'm trying to kill a deer, you run through the woods screaming at the top of your lungs.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, there are just so many instances of Sasquatch doing things like this, It probably, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if it was protecting a family unit. You know what I mean?
That's right. And that's I hear they're very territorial, but I mean, I've also heard that it's not so much like a territorial thing, but if you're near their family or they're young, that's when they'll try to get you, to go away. I mean, I grew up in those woods, though. I don't think I've ever seen anything Sasquatch-ish
they're
out there. But then again, I've got a little age on me, so it's been a while since I've been out in those woods. But
yeah, and I mean they do. They don't. I don't think they migrate like across country and stuff, but they can cover a pretty good distance of territory.
You know what's interesting is where this happened, the river. This is the river that I kayak every summer. So like the times I've told you to come down and kayak with us.
Yeah. This
is actually the river that we do that on. So, I mean, we could do it super, super tactile like and just roll down in kayaks and pull. I know exactly where it is. We could pull all, we can walk down there. But for the video, it'd probably be even cooler if we kayak to the location. Mm-hmm. It's warm enough. I've been kayaking. I went kayaking the week before last.
Now, what would you do if we were to encounter this hairy man?
What can you do? I mean, it all depends on circumstance. If he attacks me, I'm going to shoot him. Would you? But I mean, if we see the creature, and I mean, I've grown up hunting, and I definitely don't consider myself an expert in things like, anything really. But I mean, I like to think that I have trained myself to know what I'm shooting at. So I would like to think that if it was not threatening us, I'm not going to shoot it.
So you're not hell-bent on taking the creature carcass?
No, it's a living creature, and if it's been living out there, if it's been living out there in fear of us, and I kill it, I've just proved the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've proved it right. It should. So I don't want to kill it, but I mean, I think I would try to get a video of it that wasn't so potato quality.
Would you attempt to communicate with the creature?
If it looked like it was interested in that, yeah, sure.
What would you say?
Bring me your finest jawbone.
Oh, hell.
No, I'd probably be like, hey, I've got a cookie. Would you want one?
We're going to set up a gifting tree, and we will...
What do their diets reportedly consist of?
Well, they're omnivores. Like I said, a lot of people leave apples for them. I think maybe we'll bring like a little watermelon. I think that would be a neat thing to leave for the Sasquatch.
As silly as it sounds, I'm not against the idea of having some kind of gift in the backpack, just in case you encounter one and it doesn't seem hostile. Maybe it's just observing you. You could show it what you've got, set it down, and leave it so that way it knows that you're not there to harm it. And who knows? Maybe we can go back and eventually gain its trust. And if it loves, gets to trust us enough, maybe it'll follow us home, and we can get some tags for it and
get it on the podcast
and make it a household pet. But I am very interested. I mean, I know some people take the Sasquatch very seriously and don't appreciate joking. So I mean, I really am interested in checking this out. But if I see it, my first instinct would not be to kill it. It would be, granted, unless it comes charging. It's going to catch a couple 357 Magnums, but. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to kill it. I don't want to kill something that's living in its own peace and harmony, and then here I come just stomping through the woods and blow it away. That's not how I roll. Well, except for deer. I love deer meat, but I want to let it continue to live. But I'd love to observe it.
Well, hopefully we will get the opportunity. I hope.
Thing is, I do hunt. And I do, but I don't kill anything I'm not going to eat. Like, I'm not one of these people that would go through the woods and mow down a bunch of squirrels and then just toss them away. I mean, if anything I kill, I'm going to eat. I don't want to eat the Sasquatch. Therefore, unless it poses a threat, I have no desire to want to harm it.
No, well, dude, if you murdered the Sasquatch, number one, the authorities would intervene immediately. They would obtain the carcass, and they probably either black bag us re-education wise, we'd have no memory of the incident, or they'd just kill us right then and there and make it look like a hunting accident.
I don't know that they would kill us, but I think they would work very hard to discredit us. You know what I'm saying?
If we were out in the forest, man, I think they would definitely just kill us and make it look like an accident.
Nah, I don't think they would. I think that they would plant drugs on us and take us in like.
Well, number one,
they would plant like LSD on us, and then like when we're out there saying we saw the Sasquatch, they'll be like, yeah, and we also found several little acid. What do they come on? Like, I'm not an expert in psycho.
Just like little, most of the time, I've seen like gummy, like acid things.
So we found lots of LSD on them, so that's probably why. I feel like that's what they would do.
Well, number one, they're not going to have to plant any drugs. I'm going to make sure we have plenty for the trip. And number two, you're talking about dark forces, brother. I don't know that they would just rub us out. I
don't think so. I think they would just try to discredit us. I mean, if that were trying to rub people out, there's lots of people that have some convincing video and evidence of Sasquatch that have not been killed.
But if we had a straight up carcass, dude.
That's true. I mean, we got a physical.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. What would you prefer? Would you want to kill it?
Oh, no. I would never want to harm it. I would only want to service it.
Why is it when you say that it sounds sexual? We're talking about a wild beast here.
No, it's much more than that, my friend.
And some people do think that this thing has some like psychic powers, right?
Yeah, telekinetic, telepathic. A lot of people think it can phase in and out of dimensions, which is why it's so elusive. And I'm not discounting any of that. I haven't done the research. I don't know. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to, start to foster a relationship with this entity, with this creature.
I read a story once, and I hate that I don't know the guy's name, but he claimed that he was out in the wilderness and he was abducted by a Sasquatch that took him back to where it lived, and there were young ones and I guess a female, its partner, and he escaped somehow, but he had to do just that. He was a captive. He had to escape. What do you think about that?
I mean, he may have been an evil person in the Sasquatch.
You think times were hard? Maybe they were about to make some human stew?
Well, I don't think that, no. But
you think the Sasquatch eat people?
I don't think so, no. I mean, much like ourselves, I guess, if you're starving, you're going to do whatever you have to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you hear bears will eat their own cubs, if it comes down to it.
Well, sometimes the male bears will eat male cubs to keep them to prevent them from growing up and becoming a threat.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me.
No, it does seem interesting though. If the Sasquatch was, if it was a Sasquatch, I just can't think of anything else that it could have been other than, all right. And there's so many variables to this. Number one, he could have been lying. I don't know my brother to be a flat out liar, and I don't see why any reason. I've known him, my whole life. I don't really think he has a reason to randomly text me that at 5:00 in the morning if it didn't happen.
And now he didn't text you saying, "Hey, Bigfoot was throwing rocks at us."
He didn't say Bigfoot at all.
Yeah,
no,
he didn't have
no.
any idea what it was.
Oh no, he asked me like, I know y'all podcast about out there stuff. Like, what do you think it was? Let me see. I can tell you how he wrapped up the message. I ain't gonna read you the whole message because I've basically told you that.
Right.
But he said, just thought I'd let you know and see what you thought it might have been. So, yeah, that's when I told him it sounds like a Sasquatch as far as what I've been told, if they're real. I mean, that's one of their things is they throw. I mean, a lot of times it seems to be smaller rocks that they'll throw to warn you to stay away. But I don't know. It is interesting that it was throwing bigger. And it's like I said, so let's just assume that they weren't lying. All right, or he wasn't lying, and this happened. I mean, there's so many different. It could have easily been somebody that was already fishing down there and was like, these damn kids, and just started trying to mess with them to get them to go away. It could have actually been, and I asked him. I said, "Now, were y'all doing anything when you were down there? You know what I'm saying? Was you having a little drink, a little smoke?" He said, absolutely not. He said they weren't doing anything. Like they hadn't been there that long. They just got a little fire going on the riverbank and had thrown their lines out. Hadn't been there long. He said they weren't doing anything. I was like, because that's the first thing someone's going to ask you.
Yeah,
is were you on any kind of? And I mean, you're 20 and you go to college, so I'm sure you party a little bit. But they weren't on anything, and they all experienced it. So it's interesting, but it could have definitely been somebody. But it's like I was telling a good friend, our friend Derek Patterson. I said, the thing is, if he wasn't over exaggerating it, who can hurl a 50 or 60 pound rock? It's not something you hurl, and maybe only because I don't know how much those shot puts weigh. Maybe someone who's an Olympic level athlete could maybe hurl one, But what is an Olympic level athlete doing in the middle of the woods at like 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
I think they got better things to do than to be out in our woods messing with kids.
And I feel like if it was a person, they probably would have seen flashlight or something
True,
like that.
yeah.
You know, I don't know, dude.
It's very interesting, and it's. I would love some input on it. I'd love to hear what you think. It's odd. Because was it? No, it was. I think it was because the first person I messaged was obviously our resident. At least to us, he's an expert. Our resident Sasquatch expert, Mr. Derek Patterson, longtime listener. He's definitely been kind of a resource we go to when we have questions about Sasquatch. So I went to him, first and was asking him, do you think that's what it was? And that was my first thought. And he asked someone he knows that's even more of an expert, and they said that while it's not common to hear of Bigfoot throwing giant rocks, it's not unheard of.
Yeah.
And as your stories, show that, it's happened before. I just love that the dad scolded the Sasquatch. Went up there and said, let me tell you something right now, Mr. Sasquatch. You throw another one of them rocks, and I'm going to get your britches. I don't care who your mom and daddy is.
Yeah, I need to approach my pal Skippy about it, too. He's a big Sasquatch researcher. He's never had an encounter, but it is something he researches quite heavily.
Is he going to find him with his dowsing rod? With his dowsing rod?
It would work for the Sas. If you had like a sample of hair or something, and Skippy's actually seen hair samples, he could load it into his dowsing rod, and it would track down a Sasquatch.
Well, you're saying that as if dowsing rods work.
Yeah, assuming that the
and
science
they don't.
is legitimate.
Considering every chance that people have had to prove the authenticity of dowsing rods, they failed. And they don't just fail, they fail horribly. It's not like, guess where this precious metal is under one of these 10, and they get it wrong the first time, but it turns out it was in like the bucket right beside it. And you could say, well, it was close though. I'm talking like after 9 guesses, they're like, well, it's there. It's over there. You got it wrong 9 out of 10 times. They always do about as bad as they can do.
Well, some people say that under those kind of circumstances, under duress or something like this. Oh, my God.
Well, that's when
it doesn't work.
That's stupid, though.
Basically, it's almost like your intentions have to be pure and noble.
Oh, my God.
For the dowsing because it basically channels the energy within you using the dowsing rod and using the elementals of Earth.
I didn't realize there was so much mysticism. Yeah,
there is. It's been mentioned in Holy Scripture before. The Spaniards used it when they came to America. And like I said, it's not something that I'm sold on, but I think it's interesting. It's fun to watch, if nothing else.
It is fun to watch someone try to convince you that the dowsing, I'm not doing this. Their whole arm is like moving, and they're like, I'm not doing this. I promise.
So the weirdest thing, man, like Skippy is somebody I worked with for years in the grocery store, and we'd all goof on him, especially after seeing his video. And then I talked to this other guy, like real straight-laced, guy. He worked in the meat department, also had a cattle farm. And he would say, oh, yeah, Skippy's crazy as hell, but no, we use dowsing rods around the farm to find water lines and stuff.
Well, I mean, they probably, now, again, I don't know much about dowsing, but I mean, there might be some.
Well, it's the same principle, but the argument there is usually, well, yeah, if you're looking for groundwater, if you look long enough, you're going to find it somewhere.
That's true. The rod's not really helping you.
It's just a game of.
Maybe numbers, there's. I'm not an expert on looking for, groundwater. So I mean, maybe there's a term called dowsing. That. But yeah, no, that's. I tell you what I've gotten into before we wrap this up, and I can't stop watching it, and I want to do it. Metal detecting.
Yeah,
I've been on
Skippy's
YouTube.
Big into that too,
no, he's big on looking for confetti gold, but he just digs on other. Not going to even get into that. But no, I'm talking like people that are actually finding stuff. Oh, yeah, now, granted, they're not out there finding like their fortune, but it's one guy who got permission again they get permission to go on these properties.
Mm-hmm. You can do that.
Of older homes, and they'll find like these wheat pennies and like just all of these coins dating back to like the 1800s. They found a piggy bank from a kid back in like the early 1800s that had all these very old coins, and like found some rings and just stuff that had been strewn about on the land. It's really cool. My girlfriend, surprisingly, has really gotten into watching those videos, and she's told me, like, let's get a metal detector. And I've got some family land. We could go out there. Hey, we could go to where you've been out to the family farm. We could go out there and take them. I'm sure you'd find some stuff with a metal detector.
Well, dude, just like around my house. I mean, my property, my house was built in like the 30s, I think. And the guy who actually lives across the road from me, he metal detects, and he went to the old abandoned pool, like, at the end of my block, and found these, because the pool goes back like probably not 100 years, but far enough back to where my grandmother like remembers when it was desegregated. It goes back, that far. And he's found like old laundry tags to where I guess where you get a tag when you turn in your towels, or I don't know how it worked, but
it's just cool to look at history like right there under your nose the whole time, and you've never seen it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, her nephew has a metal detector, so we're going to see if we can borrow that bad boy.
Yeah.
I'll let you know, man, if we go do that. Maybe we could we could do all that in one day. We'll go metal detecting, then we'll go try to find the Sasquatch.
Maybe we'll find something buried within the earth that we can offer to Sasquatch.
It depends, man. We find some buried treasure. Sasquatch he's got to work for his own dollars. I'm keeping.
We'll see.
But let us know what you think. Again, assuming my brother didn't make it up, and I don't think he did, because, again, I don't know my brother to be dishonest. He might over-exaggerate at times, but he's a pretty honest and good kid, so I take him at his word, Yeah. So what do you think? Are there any other cryptids that are known to throw rocks? Was it perhaps spirits instead of the Sasquatch? We love to discuss all the possibilities when it comes to the paranormal and the strange. So let me know down in the comments what you think it could have been. And don't forget to check out our Patreon, where you get a minimum of at least 8 extra podcasts a month, which are a lot more behind the scenes. But we, on those, go from everything to the paranormal, to The Walking Dead, to what we're doing, you know what I mean? It just they go all over the place. So you get a really, what is the word I'm looking for? A podcast with a lot of variety. And it's a lot more of us being honest. So for as little as $1 a month, you can get those. So check that out, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. In the meantime, we hope everybody has a wonderful week. Don't forget to holler at us in the comments section, and we will see you, tomorrow on Patreon, and Monday right back here. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.